The country producing some of the best soccer players in the world right now has made it illegal to publish league tables for children under the age of 13. While you're stressing about your 10-year-old's rankings, Norway is building superstars by doing the exact opposite. You'd assume they have a secret lab or drill kids for 20 hours a week, but the secret to the Norway Model is stopping professional academies until the age of 15. It sounds crazy, it sounds soft, but today I'm going to break down the science of why delaying elite environments actually creates better, more durable athletes. And I'm going to show you how to replicate this miracle in your own schedule without moving your family to Scandinavia. Let's go back to 2017. Norway wasn't a powerhouse, even accounting for the population of 5.6 million. They were in a crisis. They hit their lowest ever spot on the FIFA Nations rankings, coming in at 88th place. They were sandwiched between well-known soccer powerhouses Libya and Madagascar. For a proud sporting nation, this wasn't just bad, it was embarrassing. And they realised that the old way, trying to copy the big nations like Germany or Spain, trying to professionalise everything earlier and earlier, wasn't working for them. They didn't have the population and they didn't have the resources to throw away and waste talent. So the clubs and the federation made a radical agreement. They decided to do the exact opposite of what everyone else was doing. Like marketer Rory Sutherland says, the opposite of a good idea can also be a good idea. So they instituted what we now call the finishing school model. Here is how it works. In Norway, you generally don't enter a professional academy until the age of 15. Young players are coached by volunteer parents, often with nothing more than their own youth or amateur playing experience as a foundation for their coaching skills. Stop and think about that for a second. In the UK or the US, we have parents panicking if their kid isn't on a pre-academy roster by age 7. There are scouts at under 9 games. We have this massive fear of missing out industry, telling you that if you miss the boat now, it's gone forever. Norway looked at data and said, nope. Until age 14 or 15, the professional clubs keep their hands off. The players stay with their local grassroots clubs. And the focus is on keeping everyone playing. Why? Because in a country of 5 million people, they realised they couldn't afford to lose a single player. I'm only guessing here, but I suspect you're not that interested in simply discarding your child's soccer career either, just because you're in a more populous country. Norway realised that the kid who's best at age 10 is very rarely the best at age 20 when it really matters. If you select an elite group at age 10, you're essentially betting the house on a lottery ticket. You're cutting the kids who haven't grown yet, the kids born late in the year, and the kids who just need a bit more time to learn and develop into great players. By keeping the late bloomers in the local system for longer, they created a massive base of players who were enjoying the game and, crucially, not burning out in these elite environments before they even hit puberty. Now, before you say, but wait, Martin Odegaard was playing pro at 15, he breaks this rule. Yes, you are absolutely right. Odegaard is a generational outlier. He was a child prodigy. But here's the nuance. Even he wasn't pulled into a rigid, isolated academy system at 8 years old. He stayed in his local environment at Strømsgodset, playing up, yes, but remaining grounded in a community club until he was ready for the jump. He wasn't commuting 90 minutes to a super club at age 10. The system had a flexibility to handle a genius like him without breaking the model for everyone else. So why does this work? Why does keeping a kid in a worse team with worse coaching actually produce a better player? In the youth sports world, we're obsessed with inputs. We think better coach plus better facilities plus better teammates is a better player. It seems completely logical, but skills isn't something a coach gives a player. Skill is a relationship between the player and their environment. It's about adaptation. When you take a 10-year-old out of their local club and put them in a sterile high-performance academy too early, you often strip away the very things that make them adaptable. You put them on a perfect pitch, give them a coach who micromanages every touch because his job depends on winning. You strip away the chaos. In the Norway model, by staying local, these kids are often playing in environments that are less structured. They're playing with friends. They're playing in local pitches that might not be perfect. And this leads to representative learning. Because the environment is a bit messier, the kids have to solve problems themselves. They aren't waiting for the coach to joystick them, to tell them exactly what to do in every situation. They're developing wayfinding skills, learning to navigate the game on their own terms, rather than just following a GPS set by an adult. But here's the biggest factor that you yourself can control, and this is purely from my perspective as a performance consultant. We need to talk about the travel tax. This is a silent killer of youth soccer careers. Let's say you get your 10-year-old into that elite academy, but it's 45 minutes away. That's 90 minutes round trip. Training is 3 nights a week. That's 4.5 hours a week just sitting in a car. Add in a game on Sunday and that's an hour away. You're looking at 6 to 7 hours a week of sedentary confinement. Parents tell me it's worth it for the coaching. Well, is it? Really? Let's look at the opportunity cost. Those 6 hours in the car are 6 hours your child is not moving. They're not playing tag, soccer, basketball, baseball, or any other game in the garden. They're not sleeping. They're not doing homework, which means they stay up later, which cuts into their sleep. In the Norway model, the kid usually walks or bikes to the local pitch. That 4.5 hours of travel time, it becomes 4.5 hours of free play. We know from the research that the volume of unstructured play is the single biggest differentiator between elite players and the rest. So while the American kid is strapped into a seatbelt, passively watching an iPad on the way to training, the Norwegian kid is out on what we call løkka, those small free-to-use pitches that can be found virtually everywhere, actually touching a ball. Over 5 years, that difference is thousands of hours. You cannot catch up on that kind of volume. You're paying for elite coaching, but you're paying for it with the currency of your child's recovery and free playtime. The exchange rate of that is terrible. Now, this doesn't mean Norway doesn't care about elite performance. They absolutely do. They just changed when they care about it. And this is the finishing school concept. Instead of spreading their resources thin, trying to make every 9-year-old a pro, professional clubs concentrate their investment where it matters. Post-puberty. From age 15 upwards, the Norwegian system is incredibly professional. They have strict criteria, they have high-level paid coaches. They treat the players like pros, but they wait until the players are ready for it. From a physiological standpoint, this is crucial. We know that the years between 12 and 15 are the most dangerous for a young athlete, and this is the period of peak height velocity, the massive growth spurt. During this time, bones grow faster than muscles, coordination drops, adolescent awkwardness kicks in. The risk of overuse injuries like Odegaard disease skyrockets. If you have a kid in a high-pressure, cutthroat academy system during these years, what happens? They go through a growth spurt. They look clumsy. Their performance drops. The coach, under pressure to win the under-13 league, cuts them. Or the intensity of the elite schedule breaks them physically or mentally. They get injured, they miss a year, and they fall behind. The Norway model acts as a safety net during these high-risk years. By keeping them in grassroots clubs until 15, the pressure is a lot lower. The volume can be managed better because they aren't chasing league titles or fighting for their contracts every weekend. It allows the late bloomers, the kids who haven't grown or developed yet, to survive in the system. In most of the world, there's a massive maturation bias. Under 14 elite squads are almost entirely made up of early maturers. The big strong kid. The technical smaller kid gets wiped out because the system and the games favour size over skill at that age. Norway bypasses this bias. By the time they select for the academies at 15, the growth spurts are levelling out. The technical players who were small at 12 are catching up physically, and because they weren't cut, they're still there, ready to be polished. They're playing the long game in the US system, together with most of the rest of the world, I'd say, are playing the short game. And the long game is winning. So, does it work? Or is this just a nice participation trophy philosophy? Let's look at the hard currency, and I mean literal currency. In 2017, the total transfer market value of Norway's top 20 players was around 54 million euros. By 2022, just 5 years after committing to this philosophy, that value had skyrocketed to 387 million euros. That's a pretty increase of over 600%. And we aren't just talking about Haaland. We're talking about Alexander Sørloth, Oscar Bob at Man City, Julian Ryerson at Borussia Dortmund. We're seeing a conveyor belt of technically gifted, physically robust athletes. And notice the word robust, because they weren't subjected to professional level loading at age 10. These players often arrive at the senior game with less mileage on their joints. They haven't been ground down by the system. They're fresher, they're hungry, and crucially, they haven't been bored to death by drills since they were 6 years old. They still love the game. This is an example of a nation that manufactured success. It wasn't an accident, it was a strategy. Norway decided that a wide base of happy grassroots players produces a higher peak of elite players than a narrow pyramid of stressed out academy kids. Okay, so what does this mean for you? You live in Ohio, Manchester or Sydney. You don't live in Oslo. You can't change the national federation. If you pull your kid out of the academy, will they fall behind? Well, here's the reality check. You control the environment. You can build a Norway microclimate in your own house. If your kid's team loses every week, but the coach plays everyone, keeps the vibe positive and encourages mistakes, that's a pretty good team. Don't move your kid to the super team that wins 5-0 because they have 3 giant kids up front who just run past everyone. That's fool's gold. That elite environment often stunts development because it relies on physicality to win at all costs, right now, not on developing skill. Be ruthless with this. If you are offered a spot at a club that's an hour away, ask yourself, is the coaching really 200% better? Because the travel cost is 200% higher. Unless that coaching is world class, stay local if possible. Use to save time for backyard play, for recovery, or for other sports. Remember, the multi-sport athlete is a durable athlete. If your son or daughter is small, or born late in the year, or just hasn't quite figured out how to control and manipulate the ball, the system is designed to reject him or her. You need to be their shield. Keep them in environments where they can play and touch the ball. If the elite team benches them because they're small, leave. Go to a level where they play. The Norway Model proves that if you can just keep them in the game until 15 or 16, they have every chance of overtaking the early bloomers later. This is where it's easy to get it wrong. We chase the badge, the tracksuit with a pro club logo, chase the status. But status doesn't prevent ACL injuries. Status doesn't prevent burnout. Durability does. But knowing the Norway Model is only the first step. You also need to know the specific mechanical red flags that are happening in your child's body right now that lead to injury. I break down exactly what those are and how to spot them in this video here. Click there and I'll see you in a second. Thanks for watching.